Have you ever been blindsided at work? You're sitting there on a random Tuesday afternoon, sipping your coffee, when suddenly an email pops up that changes everything. Well, that's exactly what happened to me. After 3 years of dedication, overtime, and being the office problem solver, I was fired by email. No warning, no meeting, just a cold, impersonal message telling me my services were no longer required. But here's where it gets interesting. They made one critical mistake. They CC'd the entire department. And I had receipts, lots of them. Stay with me to hear how I turned this corporate nightmare into the most satisfying reply all in company history. Welcome to Dismissal Diaries, where we share real stories of workplace terminations gone wrong and the sometimes epic responses that follow. I'm your host, and today's story is one that will make you think twice about how you handle professional communications. Before we dive into how I exposed my former employer's unethical practices to the entire company with a single email, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. On this channel, we bring you authentic workplace drama, valuable lessons on employee rights, and sometimes, like today, a healthy dose of corporate justice that will have you cheering from your desk chair. These stories aren't just entertaining, they might save your career someday. So if you want to be prepared for whatever your workplace throws at you, subscribing is your first line of defense. Now, let's get back to that fateful Tuesday afternoon. I had been working at Meridian Technologies for just over 3 years. It was one of those mid-sized tech companies that tried to maintain a startup vibe despite having over 200 employees. You know, the type ping-pong tables that nobody had time to use, mandatory fun team building events, and motivational posters about synergy and disruption plastered on every wall. My position was Senior Content Strategist, which basically meant I handled everything from copywriting to social media management to developing entire marketing campaigns. And I was good at it, really good. Our engagement metrics had doubled since I joined, and I'd personally landed us features in 3 major industry publications. My performance reviews were always stellar, with my direct manager, Diane, regularly commenting on my invaluable contribution to the team. That Tuesday started like any other. I'd come in early to prepare for our quarterly planning meeting scheduled for the afternoon. I'd spent the weekend finalizing a presentation on a new content strategy that would help us break into a different market segment. I was excited. This was the kind of initiative that could lead to a promotion. Maybe even that marketing director role I'd been eyeing. At 2:13 p.m., the email arrived from HR at Meridian. Calm subject, termination of employment to my email, CC, Marketing Department. Executive team, dear, my name. This email serves as official notice that your employment with Meridian Technologies is terminated, effective immediately. Your services are no longer required by the company. Please note that company policy requires you to return all company property within 48 hours. Sign the attached confidentiality reminder form. Refrain from contacting clients or colleagues regarding company matters. Your final paycheck, including any applicable severance to week's pay, as per your contract, will be processed according to standard procedures. Regards, Human Resources, Meridian Technologies. I stared at my screen, certain this was some kind of mistake or bizarre prank. I quickly checked who else had received this email and my stomach dropped. The entire marketing department, the executive team, everyone. My phone buzzed with a text from Diane. I'm so sorry. I just found out. This wasn't my decision. Then another from my colleague Mark. WTF is happening? Are you okay? And one from Jen in design. They can't do this. This is about the Jenkins account, isn't it? The Jenkins account, of course. 3 weeks earlier, I had raised concerns about some questionable practices regarding the Jenkins campaign. The CFO, Richard Harmon, had instructed us to bill Jenkins for services we hadn't actually delivered. When I questioned this in a meeting, Richard had smiled tightly and said, "That's not your department to worry about. Just create the content we need." I had documented everything after that meeting. Every email, every instruction, every altered invoice. Not because I was planning for this moment, but because something felt off, and my instincts were screaming at me to protect myself. I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking, but my mind was suddenly clear. They had fired me by email. They had CC'd everyone. And now I had a choice to make. I had exactly 45 minutes before IT would remotely lock me out of my company accounts. Standard procedure I'd seen it happen to others. 45 minutes to gather my personal belongings, download any personal files, and well, respond if I chose to. I could walk away quietly, take the 2-week severance, find another job, and move on. That would be the professional thing to do, right? But as I looked around at the office where I'd poured my heart and soul into my work, something inside me snapped. I pulled out my personal laptop and connected it to the company Wi-Fi. Then I opened my private email account and began composing a new message. From my personal email subject, termination of employment to hr@meridiantech.com, CC, Marketing Department. Executive team to the Meridian Technologies team. I acknowledge receipt of my termination notice. While I'm surprised by both the decision and the method of delivery, I respect the company's right to make personnel changes. However, in the interest of transparency, I feel obligated to share some information with everyone included on this email chain. Then I attach them. All of them. The emails from Richard instructing me to inflate the Jenkins invoices. The original service agreement showing what Jenkins had actually signed up for. The altered timesheets. The doctored reports. The conversation with Richard where he explicitly told me to get creative with the numbers. I also attached screenshots of the results of my campaigns, the metrics showing how successful my work had been, the client testimonials, the published features I'd secured. One included my most recent performance review, where Diane had recommended me for promotion. And finally, I attached a comprehensive report I'd prepared for the upcoming quarterly meeting. The one I was now going to miss, outlining my strategy that projected a 30% growth in our market share. I continued, I've valued my time at Meridian and the relationships I've built here. I wish circumstances were different. For those who might be wondering about the Jenkins account, I've included documentation that might shed some light on recent decisions. To my marketing team, it has been an honor to work with such talented individuals. Keep creating amazing work. To the executive team, I hope this information helps you make more informed decisions about the company's direction moving forward. To HR, I will return my company laptop and badge as requested. Please mail my personal belongings to the address on file. I am available at this email address for any appropriate transition questions about my projects. Wishing Meridian Technologies continued success. My name, I read it over 3 times. It was professional, factual, no accusations, just evidence, no emotional language, just documents that spoke for themselves, and it would blow the lid off what Richard had been doing. My finger hovered over the send button for a full minute. This could burn bridges. This could affect my references. This could even lead to legal issues if I wasn't careful. But then I thought about how they'd fired me by email, copying everyone. No explanation, no recognition of my contributions. I thought about Richard's smug face when he told me to stay in my lane. I thought about the clients who were being defrauded. I hit send. For about 30 seconds, there was nothing. No response, no reaction. I began packing up the few personal items from my desk: a plant, a framed photo, a coffee mug my sister had given me. My hands were still shaking, but now with adrenaline rather than shock. Then my phone exploded with notifications. First came the out-of-office replies, automatic responses from people who were on vacation or at external meetings. Then came the real responses. From CEO at meridiantech.com to my personal email, hr@meridian.com, executive team subject, termination of employment. My name, I would like to speak with you immediately. Please call my office line. Michael Stanford, CEO from Diane@meridiantech.com to my personal email subject. Oh my God, are these documents real? I had no idea this was happening. The executive meeting just erupted. Michael is furious. From Richard@meridiantech.com to all staff subject. Disregard previous email. An unauthorized email was sent containing misleading information. Please disregard and delete immediately. This matter will be handled internally. Richard Harmon, CFO. That last one made me smile. Classic damage control. But it was too late. Everyone had seen the evidence. As I was walking toward the elevator, security badge in hand, ready to turn in, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello," I answered. "This is Melissa Jenkins," said a stern voice on the other end. My heart stopped. Melissa Jenkins, as in the CEO of Jenkins Corporation. Ms. Jenkins, I just received some very interesting emails that were forwarded to me by one of your colleagues in design. Jen, I believe. Jen, of course. She and Melissa had worked together on a previous project before Jen joined Meridian. "I see," was all I could manage. "I'd like to meet with you today, if possible. I have some questions about these invoices, and I might have a proposition for you as well." 2 hours later, I was sitting in Melissa Jenkins' corner office in downtown, explaining everything in detail. She was understandably angry about being overbilled, but that anger wasn't directed at me. "Integrity matters in this industry," she said after I finished. "It's unfortunately rare." Which brings me to my proposition. Jenkins Corporation, it turned out, had been looking to build an in-house marketing team instead of continuing to contract with agencies. And they needed someone to lead it. Someone who knows good content and good ethics when they see it. As Melissa put it, I left her office with a job offer that included a 40% salary increase from what I'd been making at Meridian, better benefits, and a team of my own to build. Meanwhile, back at Meridian, chaos was unfolding. I know this because my former colleagues kept me updated through a flurry of texts. Richard is being escorted out by security. Michael called an emergency all-hands meeting. He apologized to everyone for the inexcusable breach of ethics and company values. They're doing a full audit of all the accounts. Richard handled. Diane has been named interim CFO until they find a replacement. By evening, my LinkedIn inbox was flooded with messages from recruiters who had somehow heard about the incident, former colleagues expressing support, and even a few Meridian clients asking if I was available for freelance work. The next day, I received another email from Michael Stanford. From Michael@meridiantech.com, personal email to my personal email subject. A sincere apology, my name. I want to personally apologize for what happened. The manner of your termination was completely unacceptable, and the circumstances surrounding it are inexcusable. After a preliminary investigation, we've discovered that Richard falsified documentation regarding your performance and presented fabricated evidence of insubordination to justify your termination. This was clearly in response to your ethical concerns about the Jenkins account. While I understand that this comes too late, I want you to know that Richard has been terminated, and we are conducting a full review of all financial records during his tenure. We've also reached out to Jenkins to make amends. If you're willing, I'd like to offer you your position back, with a significant compensation adjustment and a seat on our newly forming ethics committee. Your integrity is exactly what this company needs. Please consider it. I'm available to discuss at your convenience. Sincerely, Michael Stanford. I read the email several times, allowing myself to feel the satisfaction of vindication. But I already knew my answer. I had accepted Melissa's offer that morning. My reply was brief but courteous. "Mr. Stanford, thank you for your apology and explanation. I appreciate the offer to return, but I've accepted a position elsewhere that better aligns with my career goals. I wish you and the Meridian team all the best as you move forward. Regards." My name. 1 week later, I started my new role at Jenkins Corporation. My first task: creating a comprehensive content strategy, the very same one I had prepared for Meridian but never got to present. In the months that followed, I occasionally heard updates about Meridian. They'd hired a new CFO with a sterling reputation for ethical business practices. They'd implemented new financial oversight procedures. They'd even created an anonymous reporting system for employees to raise concerns without fear of retaliation. In a way, my reply all email had transformed the company, just not while I was there to see it. As for me, I thrived at Jenkins. Within 6 months, my team had grown to 7 people. Our campaigns were outperforming industry standards. Melissa had become not just a boss, but a mentor. One day, about a year after the incident, as I'd come to call it, I ran into Diane at an industry conference. "We still talk about you, you know," she said over coffee. "Not the dramatic exit though, that's become something of a legend, but the work you did, the standards you set, the way you stood up for what was right." She hesitated, then added, "That email changed everything, not just for you, but for all of us. It forced us to confront some ugly truths about the company culture we'd been accepting." I nodded, understanding completely. Sometimes it takes something dramatic to spark real change. "Well," she raised her coffee cup in a small toast, "here's to hitting reply all when it matters most." I laughed and raised my cup too. To reply all, used with caution and only in case of ethical emergencies. Looking back now, I don't regret sending that email. Yes, it was a risk. Yes, it could have backfired spectacularly. But it was also the catalyst for positive change, both for me personally and for a company that had lost its way. So if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, facing an unfair termination or ethical dilemma, remember my story. Sometimes standing up for yourself and for what's right isn't just about personal vindication. It can create ripples that lead to better workplaces for everyone. Just make sure you have the receipts before you hit that reply all button. And that's how one perfectly timed reply all email not only saved my career, but actually elevated it to new heights. Sometimes in life, especially in your professional life, you have to stand up for yourself with evidence to back it up, of course. If you enjoyed this workplace justice story, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and join our Dismissal Diaries community. We share new stories every week about workplace terminations, how people handled them, and the sometimes surprising consequences that followed. Drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in this situation. Would you have hit reply all or taken a different approach? I read all your comments and love hearing your perspectives. And if you have your own dismissal story you'd like to share, maybe even have it featured on the channel, send me a message. Remember, sharing these stories doesn't just make for entertaining content. It helps others learn how to protect themselves in the workplace. Until next time, keep those receipts. You never know when you might need them.